Used to dance when I was young. Ain't got time for that now. Jimmy and I got married a while back. We have 3 young'uns. John David for both of our fathers, and Elizabeth Ann for both of our mothers, and Timmy, well, he's just a baby. Lands, I never knew how much there was to do with raising a family in a coal camp. What with having kids and raising kids and cleaning this ever-present coal dust, like I'm always seeming to be doing, managing the finances. Jimmy works as many as 16 to 18 hours a day underground. He ain't got time to worry how them scrip wages are spent. I got to do all that myself. And there never seems to be enough to go around with all the check-offs from his scrip card. Before we ever see them scrip wages, company takes out what we owe them first. Well, first there's rent on this here coal camp house. We pay $1.50 a month per drop cord light. You got 4 rooms in a square, a Jenny Lind-style house. 4 rooms, $6 a month rent. Oh, that may not sound like much to all of you, but when you only get $10 a month, $6 takes a mighty big chunk out of that $10. Well, let's see. Besides the rent check-off, there's whatever we owe at the company store. Some folks get themselves scrip-bound, have to turn over all their wages to the company and start off in debt again the next half. And there's doctor bills and house coal. Oh, yes, we got to pay for house coal. Here we are, living and dying, so the rest of the world can have coal, and we got to pay for house coal. You know, I think if I could take the coal I have swept out of this here house, tamp it in chunks, we'd have enough coal to heat us the rest of our lives. And I wouldn't have to send my boy John David off to the gob heap, sneaking out lumps of coal when the foreman ain't looking, or running down the railroad tracks trying to catch lumps of coal as they fall. Well, that ain't safe. One boy last week got his face gashed open. Even my young'uns have to work hard. Oh, now don't get me wrong. It's a good life, that's a fact. It's a hard life, but a good one. I got wonderful children, and I got the best neighbors in all the world. And my Jimmy, he's a good man. Well, I'm lucky he ain't like some of them fellers. Take to drinking and gambling on a Saturday night. Like my next door neighbor, Donald. He goes out every single Saturday night, a-drinking and a-gambling and a-carrying on. And when he's gambling and he's winning money, he doesn't even know how much money he's got in his pocket. He just keeps shoving his winnings into his pocket. Now, his wife, you see, she knows that. And she waits for him to come home and fall asleep, and she goes in his pocket and gets her some out for a rainy day. Then she's got to figure on where to hide it, so she figures the Bible is a pretty safe place. Of course, the time comes when he starts a ranting and a raving. Where does the money go? Where does the money go? And she says, Donald, if you just open the Bible, you'll find all the answers to your questions. He doesn't ever look at the Bible, but she feels a whole lot better she told him the truth. I declare, everybody in K-Ford knows that money's in that Bible except Donald. Oh, none of us would bother it none. We don't even bother to lock our doors of a night. What would be the use? We all got the same thing. Nothing. No reason to lock your doors against nothing. And Jimmy tells me that Donald works every bit as hard as every other feller does underground. They wouldn't tolerate a slackard in a coal mine. Some of them fellers have to go out on a Saturday night in order to face going underground Monday morning. I expect it's true. I know those fellers have to work hard. But we work hard too. Every woman that keeps a family together in a coal camp has to work hard. Well, let's see. Every Monday I do my washing. And every Tuesday, I do my ironing. Oh, we got to do it that way. See, company turns off the electricity during the daylight hours, saying the tipple needs to pull too much electricity, but somehow they find a way to leave it on for us Mondays and Tuesdays, for those of us that have them newfangled washing machines and ironing machines. So we have electricity 2 days a week, even though we're paying $6 a month rent. Rest of the week we do chores that don't need electricity, like hoeing in the garden or putting up canned goods for contract time or springtime. Or if I can get me a stack of newspapers, I'll mix up a paste of flour and water and paste them newspapers up on the wall. See, the walls of these houses tain't very thick at all. Come wintertime, the wind just whistles on in. But if I can get newspapers up on the wall, it'll keep that winter wind back a piece. Got to be right careful about that now. Just last week, I found my boy, John David, trying to read them newspapers with a kerosene lamp. Like to catch the wall on fire. I hated to reprimand him. I believe I'm going to have to wait until after John David has read the newspapers before I put them on the wall. Now, every day, I go out into the woods looking for creasy greens and salad greens. Oh, I have a fine garden. I do like my mama did. Cut me out a piece of new ground up in the holler. Get away from the noise and the smell of a coal camp, she used to say. But I go out looking for wild greens to make the things in my garden go all that much further. And it's a nice way to spend a sociable hour with your women friends at the end of the day. We've been taking them women with us from Yugoslavia. I think that's how to say it. Oh, there's folk from all over the world in these coal camps. We have people from Lithuania and Italy and Russia and Lebanon. They come from all over the world to come here to mine coal, and when they come, they get straight away to work. They don't have time to get a garden in. So we've been showing them where the creasy greens are and the salad greens and the ramps and such as that, and they've been right grateful. Jimmy, he's proud of my garden. Hallie, he says, best plant you an extra row of corn. We might be going out on strike this year. Well, he's been telling me that those folks that live up in Detroit and Pittsburgh and cities like that, where they live, they don't have room for a garden. And when they go out on strike, they don't have any food to live off of, and they have to give up their strike before they want to. But these West Virginia boys can about live off their wives' gardens. I kind of like that. All the fussing and fighting and carrying on these fellers do about their unions, what comes down to winning the day is something as peaceable as a woman's garden. Don't get me wrong. Women have been involved in the union movement as far back as their men have been. Well, I weren't but 10 years old during the 1912 and 13 Cabin Creek, Paint Creek strike. We were evicted from our house and had to live in a tent down Holly Grove for 2 years. Now you think about the winters we have here in West Virginia, and you think about living in a tent for 2 years with 10 children. And every night into Holly Grove come that train. It was called the Bull Moose Special because it was armed with gunmen, thugs, the Baldwin Felts detectives they was called, nothing more than hired guns for the company. Every day they'd come into Holly Grove with their guns, shoot into the tents, and not caring if they killed women or children. Every night my mama would lay us down to sleep, and she would line that tents with pots and pans and skillets as a barrier against the mine guard bullets. It was the women done tore them railroad tracks up, so the Bull Moose Special couldn't come back into Holly Grove. It was the women. Another time my daddy asked me if I'd go get a bucket of milk from some coal miners on down the railroad tracks. He told me they'd be some of them Baldwin Felts boys. He said to let them look inside that bucket of milk, both a coming and a going. I was scared teetotally to death. Them big old men bearing down on me with their guns, threatening me like they done. And when I come back to my daddy's camp, I handed the bucket over. And he took it from me. And he poured out the milk. And there in the bottom, it was filled with bullets. When my mama found out that he had sent me for the ammunition, she was furious. He said, Ellie, it had to be that way. If she knew what she was a-carrying, she might have give herself away. And there was no other way for us to get the ammunition. We all helped with the union movement.